Please let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me right now. JTP Trades, what's up, man? Good to see you here. The legend himself with the magical indicators. Man, your indicators are sick. Anyone who doesn't know JTP, check out his X, man. He has a crazy indicator. Ed, what's up? Mildly gorgeous. Let's go indeed. All right, let's get it running, guys. We're probably going to have a little bit shorter stream this time. We obviously want to know, when is this thing going to bottom? Where is this thing going to bottom? I want to take a look at that. I want to go over some quick statistics of today and basically just see what we can expect. And I have my game plan laid out. The game plan I laid out on Monday is pretty much playing out. And once again, please let me know if you can hear me, because I think it should be okay. Yeah, it looks okay on my end. But the game plan of Monday is playing out, right? This was from Monday's stream where we were looking for this exact play to happen. It is now playing out, and it's great to see, right? Because there's a couple of good lessons to learn from here where sound okay, awesome, thank you. But there's a couple of good lessons to learn from here that I want to discuss and go over regarding sentiment, regarding fractals. Things I've already discussed last Monday, but there's definitely some interesting nuances that have been happening, especially in terms of sentiment in the last week or so. But so far, this has been playing out. So the question is, okay, where are we looking to next? And well, I can give you that answer immediately, because in that same stream, if you followed it, what I said was, and this is what I posted after the stream. So once again, I said, here's the scenario I'm looking at, as explained in today's live stream. In this case, I drew it from the naked daily point of control. But as we said, when we got to the naked point of control, I laid out, okay, it's not going to reject from here because there was a 86% chance or something of going higher. So what I said is could happen from the higher supply as well. But in general, the idea is simple. Simply a deviation above the Christmas range, followed by a fake retest, followed by the reclaim of the range. And I said, if the latter happens, so that's the reclaim of the range, I'm pretty confident the price will head to 90K. And then I went on to say, for now, I expect higher though, and the daily pivot zones showing that both the naked daily point of control and the high supply zones are very nicely within the daily P2 zones. And that's also where we put in that daily high, and then we started retracing. So beautiful price action so far. But the main idea is still here, right? Even on Monday, before we had this move, my price target for this was to go below 90K. This is what I've been waiting for. I've been going in depth on that whole scenario last Monday. So if you want to see my in-depth reasoning, I would highly suggest watching the first 30 minutes of Monday's live stream, where we went very in depth from high time frame analysis all the way to the lower time frame analysis to basically conclude that, okay, a lower price, this scenario seems likely, and on a high time frame, lower prices seem likely as well. And with lower prices, I mean below 90K. So, you know, my plan hasn't changed. That plan is still the same. Everything is just playing out nicely as you would like to see it. The only thing we can do now is go on a little bit lower time frames and review some of the lessons that I mentioned earlier to see what we can learn from this, right? Because there's always things to learn from price action. And especially this, I think a lot of people did not see this coming. And I want to discuss why. I want to discuss why that is, because there's a reason why people didn't see this coming, even though, in my opinion, it was the most logical thing to happen. But let's stick with the high time frame for now, and then we're going to dive into those things. So in a high time frame, on last Monday stream, one of the things I mentioned is that I would expect, after doing some analysis, my conclusion was that, okay, I think we're retracing. It's most likely that we're retracing in the sideways consolidation, which means the bottom is probably not in yet. And when I'm looking for a bottom, and once again, if you really want to know the high or in-depth detailed reasoning, then check out the live stream of last Monday. But I basically said, okay, around 25th of January is where you would be expecting a bottom, right? So that is 2 weeks from now, actually 2 weeks from now, where you would more or less expect a bottom around that date. Could be a little bit earlier, could be a little bit higher, but naturally, you know, what I said was that kind of is nice confluence where you could expect a bottom to be put in around Trump's inauguration. So in last Monday's live stream, because my earlier thesis was from, I don't know, last month or 2 months ago, where I said, okay, if we keep grinding up into the Trump inauguration, there will be an obvious sell the news event. But then last Monday, when I was doing my analysis, I said, well, doesn't look like that's going to happen because we're simply in a retrace state. The bottom shouldn't be this early. All kinds of different things. Once again, check on Monday. So then a more logical play would be to put in the bottom around the Trump inauguration. And for now, this seems to be setting up very nicely for that to happen, right? So that would be, in my opinion, a very, very, very nice buying opportunity. I'm already very much deployed, but I have some left, and I do plan on allocating that there. So my stance on this is very simple. Either we get that bottom around here, we sweep those 90K lows. So these 90K lows, well, let me already tell you a little bit how I would expect it to happen. If that were to happen, obviously there's no guarantees. It doesn't need to happen, but I still think it's not a weird scenario at all. If that happens, I would not expect, it to happen like this. I would expect it to happen something like this, some longer form of consolidation where you have that January 25th, so it could be even a little bit later. Some longer form of consolidation behind some deviation, properly scaring people out, and then, going back up after this, because at this point, everyone will be like, what the fuck's happening? Trump it should have been bullish. Everyone will probably be scared. At this point, everyone will probably be saying, oh shit, it was like the sell the news event. This was the top. And then we continue higher. But as you know, my stance is not that this is the top. So I want to make that clear. Even though I've been biased on the medium to short term that will have to go lower, that doesn't mean on a high time frame I am bearish. I'm not at all. High time frame, I am very bullish, as I have posted. Let me check where that chart is. Some time ago, I think I saved it here. There we go. So this for me is just the cleanest way of looking at it. It's the one remark I got, which is I really appreciate because I'm a data guy. It's like, oh yeah, but there's not enough data points. There's only like 2 data points. I agree, but A, it is extremely well respected if you look at the time analysis. B, the 4-year liquidity cycle exists for much longer than just crypto, right? So this is like this goes back, I don't know, a long time. It works on commodities, works on stocks. There's just a 4-year global liquidity cycle. Would definitely suggest doing some research on it if you don't know about it. But basically the data set is much bigger. But obviously on crypto we only have a couple of 4-year cycles. But before that, on other markets, it's been happening a lot longer. So I counter that argument with saying, well, in fact, there is more data than just what we have on crypto. So until this, we're in the start of the green. And in my opinion, we are nowhere. Well, I have to be cautious here with what I say. We're not near the end of the bull run yet. I don't want to say nowhere near. I would expect the bull run still to be around, later on in the year to end in October. So that's a high time frame view. Doesn't mean I'm selling in October, by the way. I'm going to be selling earlier because I'm not not trying to be hero catching the top. So anyway, this is more or less the play I'm looking at. It doesn't have to be immediately from here. I mean, honestly, it could even do something like this. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. Although the lower time frame statistics, which we're going to get into later, are indicating that this is not a weird scenario at all. I posted the analysis earlier. We're going to dive into that, why I think that is. But so this is the high time frame idea, right? And now the reason, we have this high time frame range. And what I said last Monday is, okay, well, we deviated above this high time frame range. So normally speaking, if you just take range mechanics, after deviating the range high, the next point you were looking for is the range low. That just happens way more often like that. And that's why I said, okay, I'm personally thinking that the range low makes more sense to come first before the range high, which was one of the other confluences why I said I don't think we're going to go to the, to break out here, which a lot of people are looking for. And then my main thesis based off of the lower time frame was this lower time frame Christmas range, which I mentioned. Right, so we had this Christmas range, and therefore, we were at the top, and I said, okay, then you come back to the play I showed earlier, where I said we're looking for a deviation, followed by a reclaim, and I said, we've gone full circle. If we reclaim that range, I'm expecting 90K to be hit. And alas, look at us. Look like we are well on our way to 90K, which will give us an awesome buying opportunity. And here's my stance on it. I will not get interested in buying anything until we go below here and have that deviation. I will buy below here. I will not be afraid to buy. People will be afraid to buy. I will not be afraid to buy. But the thing is, if this doesn't happen, right? So the obvious question is, okay, but what if we don't get there? How would you do it? If something like this would happen, right, and you just go up, I would just miss the boat. Honestly, I do not care. I'm already well allocated. I've been allocating way before this. I've been allocating here at the bottom as well. And for me, it's now just, okay, whatever I have left, either I get like the best buy opportunity to allocate more, or I just don't buy anything at all. For me, it's fine. I'm only interested in the best buy opportunity there is. And for me, I want to wait longer. I want it to be around the Trump inauguration, and I want it to be below here, right? So you're looking at something like this. I don't know exactly where it's going to end. It could be 85K would not be weird at all, but it could be. I wouldn't be surprised to see it a little bit just before 85K, because then everyone will be looking at 85K, right? And if you just do something, you just front run that. But here's also where time becomes important. If we would do this, or let's say this, then I would expect another low to be put in later on, and then I would rather wait for this one. So I'm not in a hurry, right? Waiting for later, waiting for lower. That's the essence of it. All right. So that's very simply put what I'm waiting for on a Bitcoin. So I'm waiting for lower prices to come. Let's see what the volume profile is doing. Going lower. For the volume, so this is also, it's very nice. This is such a dead giveaway that this is a range. If you see a volume profile like this, that's a dead giveaway that it's a range. But I've discussed this extensively, so I don't want to go into it too much. So now we're going to go into the lower time frame for today. Let's get what can we expect? A lot of people are looking for a bounce, or looking to long. I personally wouldn't long, and the reason is the following. And I'm just going to. The best way to do it is probably just take you through my analysis that I showed in the Discord. So we've been nailing it pretty nicely so far. So in my Discord, I post analysis every day, except for today, because I had technical issues. I recorded it and then the sound didn't work. What's up, Ekru? Good to see you, man. But anyway, you can see here from the 7th of January, here, so was right here when we hit that fair value gap, which we were expecting. I said distance sticks indicate further downside is likely. Daily lows currently put in horrible times. Further confluence for more downside to come, and we got it. Similar environment, and then the next day, similar environment as yesterday. Statistics indicating at least some further downside to come. Still looking 90K to be swept as per the plan laid out on Monday. And then some of my members have been asking, can you put it a little bit shorter? So then what I said, let me see where it is. What I said was the following. Too long didn't read of today's VIP video analysis. I expect lower prices today. Well, that's so far, but then I want to come to the relevant part, which is today. What are we looking at today? So let's just take you through this. Okay, guys, I just recorded a 50-minute video now this is my technical issues. Starting at the multi-time frame summary page, we have two important takeaways. One, weekly showing signs of exhaustion. Two, daily showing bias for further downside. So here you see the week is getting exhausted, more or less. There's 1 in 3 weeks on a lot of assets would see further downside. So obviously you're getting into exhausted territories. But here you would see, we can just check that out if I get the page out right there. But here you can see that there are bearish signs on the daily. There's no green, there's just red, which means that statistically it's more likely that you're going to see further downside. So this is the first cue where I said, okay, or let me put it like this, right? If you're looking for a trade right here, you would be looking for longs, sensibly speaking, right? You would be looking for longs because you're at the discount of the range. But if you see this, if you see this, then this is your sign, at least one sign to wait, right? There's no long right now. if you look at statistics, or at least you want to be careful. So you can see still here, still the same thing, right? Bear signs, strong bear signs. So that's the first takeaway. Whoa, what is happening? I didn't do that. So that's the first takeaway. And well, you see already the analysis played out nicely. So this was from a couple hours ago. Second, the main environment. I would still suggest watching the monthly outlook to understand everything in detail. This is pretty much the live stream of last Monday. But I'm looking at this as the two relevant ranges we are in right now. I'm still looking at the lows of both ranges to be hit, which is what we just discussed. Back to statistics, we see that there's, and this is where it gets important, that there's currently a weekly P2 for Bitcoin on Wednesday. So the weekly P2 is the weekly low right there. If we look at time-based statistics, we can see that 75% of weeks put in a weekly P2 on Thursday or later. So this is another piece of confluence that would indicate lower prices for this week are coming. I'm only looking at Bitcoin here because Bitcoin is leading, and if Bitcoin goes down, the rest will follow, right? It's that simple. Bitcoin is dominant coin. You see that if Bitcoin if Bitcoin goes up 3%, alts go up 3%. If Bitcoin goes down 3%, alts go down 10%. That's pretty much the environment we're in right now. So I'm only looking at Bitcoin, but you can see that that's statistics here. You put in a weekly P2. I mean, before Thursday is well, 25%, right? 25%, even less. It's even less, even a little bit less than 25%. So based on that statistics, it's also another one where you say, okay, lower seems likely. Finally, we see a similar setup as in the last 2 days, where there are a lot of P2s on a daily that have not flipped to P1 for a very long time. In other words, these assets are unlikely to keep their daily lows and take out the daily highs. So this is something I discuss. My members will understand. It's a strategy we use. But for the members, you will understand we've been seeing this the entire week, which are really nice setups. Basically, what this is saying is that you have a P2 during the London session, which is a shitty P2. It's a shitty time to put in a pivot. And you can see here, for example, it's been 345 days since that happened, 203 days, 203 days. So you wouldn't expect this to start happening now. It's just a low probability event. Very simply put, I don't want to go into it too much. The members will understand lower is likely. So then I concluded, from a statistical standpoint, we have the following. 1, weekly distance statistics indicating further downside becoming less likely. 1 in 3 weeks would do it. 2, daily distance statistics indicating further downside is likely. 3, daily time statistics indicating the further downside is likely. 4, weekly time statistics indicating the further downside is likely. So putting all those things together, I would conclude that lower prices to come for this week is still likely. So what does that mean? Practically speaking, it means it's time to be patient. We're at range lows, which would be the place to look for longs. However, statistics indicate there is a low likelihood for a big bottom here, so we simply wait until we get better signs. Personally, I'm waiting for the 90K lows to be swept. You know this by now. But my thesis is simple. I'm already very well located, so I'm personally only waiting for the very best opportunity to come. All right, well, I've said this. And then here at the end, TLDR, once again, waiting for lower. And then this part I already discussed as well. I'm expecting not a quick S&P of 90K, but a deviation below it. And the last, waiting for lower. Lower we are getting already on the daily. So once again, we're on the right side of the market. We have been on the right side on the market every day because we were bullish on Monday and we have been bearish ever since. So that's working out very nicely for us because we can see that we just took out the daily low. So we already got lower, which is what we were expecting. Yelena, good to see you. No, not an unscheduled stream. It was actually scheduled on Sunday. I had it scheduled for yesterday, but I had to reschedule last minute. But so far, we are getting lower prices, and the weekly low is still holding, though, right here. So you would expect this weekly low to be taken out. Now, where can it take us? Then that's the question of the pivot zones. So we'll smash on our pivot zones. Let's first look at the weekly. I mean, this one is really nice, right? Look at that rejection from the weekly P1 zone. We are seeing this a lot. This is not the first time we're seeing it. We don't know why it's happening. We are assuming it has something to do with algorithms, but doesn't really matter why. The most important thing is that it's happening and that we recognize that it's happening. So naturally speaking, you would be looking for a weekly P2 to be put in somewhere within here. What I would personally, considering we went so far up, you would personally expect it not to reach any lower. 80% of weekly P2s are put in here. And if anything, I would expect it to be, not at extreme edges, but maybe a little bit higher somewhere here. But we don't have to, we can just take it, as I've been saying, one day at a time, because for now we're expecting lower. And in my opinion, there's no reason yet to look for a long. What could, for example, happen is that you see something like this, and then everyone's like, well, there it is, the SFP of the low, we're ready. And then next week you will just slam it down again. That's a scenario you could see happen. But for now, if we go to the daily pivot zones, and I got like looking very nice. Just everything has just been looking so bearish the whole week, right? It's been very obvious, I think, at least, to not long to wait for lower prices. And if we look at targets for the daily P2 zone, then we can see actually the I will buy here level is well within reach of the daily P2 zone. And actually this is setting up beautifully for a trending day and trending to the downside. So what I always say, what you want to see for these pivot zones, with pretty much the way you want to see price action develop for a trending day. If you want to see a bearish trending day, what you usually see is a P1 put in closely towards the daily opens. This is P1. Let me highlight that. There we go. Let me get the 4-hour off. So daily P1 close to the daily open, right? And then you make that market structure down. And that's why also I like this so much. And this is always what I'm looking for. This is always what you should be looking for. Because for trending days, this is what you want to see. You don't want to see this, right? Then you have less chance of a trending day, in my opinion, to the downside. Or at least downside will be, generally speaking, limited, generally speaking. But now we have that very nice setup where we see this, and then this, so now this has a much better probability of reaching the lower edges of the daily P2 zone, right? So I do not think it's a weird target right here, but we don't have to rely just on these pivot zones, because the New York session, our New York session has started. Let's check it out. Let's go to the pivot zones indicator. Let's also check some daily stats right here. No, I'll go to the summary page. Then I'll go right here to get my session pivot zones. So I got those selected. Wait for those to generate. There they are. Copy, go to my indicator. And I am done. Show them. I'll save them. And there we are, the session pivot zones. So also the session is shaping up in the very same way as I just explained on the daily, right? It's shaping up very nicely also for a trending session towards the downside. So what you would see for a trending session towards the downside is exactly the same as you would see for the daily, where you just put in the P1. In this case, this is session P1. Let us put that one on. This is the wrong one. Session. I'll get that on the 15-minute. Oh, wait, I'm on the 5 minutes. Let me get that on the 5-minute. 5-minute right there. So session P1 right here, session P2 right here, right? So we have that also the P1 the session P1 also very close. So you can see that the anatomy of this session is similar to the anatomy of the day, which I just discussed. Long story short, this means that there is a good chance that price will simply keep going down in a trending fashion, and that you could see the I will buy low level hit. Because at the very least, you want to see this taken out this week, right? The weekly low. Weekly low. You want to take that out. And the weekly low is right above the range low, the current range low, so you would expect that to be taken out as well. So let's see. The thing I don't like about this is that it doesn't have a lot of structure. But other than that, everything is looking good for the downside. And we can see right now, I mean, it's already playing out the analysis. I posted a couple of, there we go. There goes the weekly low. There goes the range low. And what I wanted to say is that the only bounce level you should be looking for is where we just bounced from, because that is not only the range low, it is also the session P1 zone, right? And we know that these levels tend to act as support resistance zones. So we are seeing a small bounce now. But man, honestly, in my opinion, no reason to long here yet. I'm personally just waiting for lower. That's my game plan. But look at that. Session zones, man. No surprise we have a bounce there, right? So this is something we often look at. We try to find confluence between support resistances and session P1 zones. But for me, this is all still looking quite bearish. But now we took out that weekly low. We took out the, weekly P2 that is. So now we have a weekly P2 on Thursday. And there you go. Look at it. Look at it going down. We're going towards 90K. Well, let's see. Let's hope we get it. I really hope we get it. It wouldn't be a bad thing at all. It would actually be pretty good for the remainder of the bull market, in my opinion. But so far, man, beautiful price action, playing out exactly as you would like to see it, as we like to see it, at least. And, I mean, look at her. Look at her go, right? Let's just take a moment to appreciate this move down. It's funny that you become happy of this, even though my spot backs are taking an extreme beating, but that you're still happy about a move down. My net worth is decreasing with every second, but there is reason for it, because it's obviously a long-term play. So for now, though, the bias for lower prices has already played out. The bias for taking out the weekly low that we discussed earlier has already played out. So now the question is, are we going to see lower? If we are able to break this level, right, the session P1 zone, then in my opinion, we're looking at the lower edges, and we could already see that 90K level hit. I will buy below here today. But I want to once again stress, in case that happens, so obviously we're at a big support right now. This is the range low, right? This is the range low, session P1 zone, big support. I would definitely be, there's no reason to short this. But if we go lower, and we do reach this level today, so the 90K level I've been talking about, I'm not going to buy immediately, because I've been saying that I expect this to last a while. Even if we get a bounce here immediately today, like this, I wouldn't expect that to be the low. I would expect quite a clearance below the level, spend some time deviating it, and then following up back up. That is what I'm expecting, and that's what I'm waiting for. But let's take a little bit of a deeper look, because we have statistics. We don't need to guess. We go to the session statistics. Let's go to the multi-time frame page as well. Session statistics. I'm mainly interested in Bitcoin at the moment. So let me check. Let me check the summary page, and let me just check Bitcoin, because once again, Bitcoin is leading. Also want to check right here. Yeah, all right, so we're going lower, most likely. I think I'm seeing a bug in here, a mistake. Let me check that out. This should be day since P1, so I'm confused if this is... Oh yeah, this order is not completely correct, so I'll fix that later. But anyway, what this is saying is that 17% of New York sessions would pull a move like this, right? Where you would keep this as a New York low after such a move down, followed by taking out this current session, New York session high. So that's a 17% probability, not that high. Whereas there are 85% of sessions see a move further down, right? So 85% of sessions see a move further down. You have a, this one is difficult to read right now because I fucked up the order, so I'll figure that out later. Well, actually, I can do that. I can do that in another way. But if you check this one out, then we have it right here. And let me see if this will let it paste me. There we go. There we go. So see, then we just take it time frame by time frame, step by step, statistic by statistic. So a massive reversal here would be a just under a 1 in 5 session occurrence. So not your highest probability, right? So this to happen is 1 in 5. If it were going to happen, I could see it happen from a place like this, because it is range low, session P1, fast move down, right? Because here I'm very confident that you will see lower because you just have clear structure. Here you don't have structure. You just immediately on the session you just go down. But still, less than 1 in 5, I wouldn't bet on it. And that means that if this is to hold the session high, then there's an 85% chance of seeing lower prices. So no long to be had, in my opinion. It doesn't mean it cannot bounce, but statistics are simply not in favor. Let me check what the rest is saying. Yeah, so we can see, so basically what we just did with the numbers is showing up here as a strong bear sign. So yeah, I mean, if you would ask me, statistically, it makes more sense to go further down. So for this, not to hold. And also, if you just look at the structure, then there is not really a reason to, I mean, look at this, right? Ever since we had that initial dump, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, still lower high, lower high, lower high. Yeah, I just wouldn't trade against it. I just wouldn't trade against it. Trends down, statistics are still saying down, even though we just took out that weekly low. So my best bet is that we are going to go lower, and we will be looking to put in a low closer towards that 90K level. So we might already get it today. So, I mean, very cool to see. Very nice price action. So you know my plan now. I'm simply waiting for lower. Even if we get a bounce here, I wouldn't care. I would still wait for lower. So, you know, even if we don't get that lower move now, which I would expect, but even if we don't and we do something like this, I would still look for lower next week as the most likely scenario. Obviously, I will judge based on what happens. You know, if something really bullish happens, I'll change my stance. But for now, with the information that we have, I think this is still the most likely scenario. And even if we reach this today, I wouldn't necessarily immediately buy. I would simply wait, because I think the low will be put in later, somewhere around the Trump inauguration, maybe shortly before, or more likely shortly after it, actually. So more or less 2 weeks from now. So no surprises so far. And then I want to pretty much, let me actually check. Yeah, also taking a beating. Let me check what Solana is doing. So it's losing that demand zone that I've drawn out at Monday stream. And this is why, like, for me, I'm only paying attention. I want to buy altcoins, but I'm only paying attention to Bitcoin. Why is that? Because Bitcoin is king. And I can see very clearly what Bitcoin is doing. And for me, Bitcoin is going down. And if Bitcoin keeps going down, I know that altcoins will keep going down as well. So for me, it's like I will be looking at when Bitcoin is done, more or less done bottoming, which I don't think it's there yet, right? I think it needs to be later and lower. So for me, it's like I will wait until I see a good area where I say, okay, now this is a good area and a good time. And that's when I will start looking at alts again to see if I can accumulate. Because it's clear that there's no alt season yet, right? People are way too impatient for alt season. I've been saying this for a while, where I said you need to be patient with alt season. I mean, I have a tweet somewhere, but I'm not going to look it up. Then I want to discuss some other things. I have been advocating for a while now, and here it is, because it's, man, I always get shit on this whenever I say it. It's the same old story every time. So here I'd say, right, did someone say, I made this post where I said, same vibes as late 2023, upward consolidation where leverage traders are getting wrecked. People are sidelined and waiting for a deep pullback to take liquidity will stay sidelined. People who bought spot around 55K and hold will win. And we caught that very early, right? We caught that very early. We said that already here. right? This was right here. You can see right at the start of this upward consolidation, we said, okay, we're at the upward consolidation, right? Then what I went on is saying, now that the fractal is becoming more obvious, more people are catching on and posting about it. This is why soon price will stop following the fractal and do something no one expects. It's the same old tale that keeps repeating over and over. Every time I say something like this, I get people arguing with me, disagreeing with me, saying that that's not the case, and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. This time was no different. And well, I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so, right? And the fractal I'm talking about is this one right here. And I just want to discuss once again. I mean, believe me or not, I honestly don't care. You can keep on believing it if you want, but it just doesn't happen that way. And I'll explain more. So I am obviously talking about this fractal right here. So a lot of people were looking at this and saying, okay, now the fractal is going to start playing out, right? We had this bounce, so now we're ready to go up again. And what I said in that stream, I mean, here, look at it, right? Look at it, man. What I said in that stream is like, it's not going to happen. I said, it's not going to happen because it rarely happens like that. Like, it just, what always happens is that someone catches up on a fractal and then they're like, oh yeah, there's this fractal and it's playing out so nicely. And at that point, when everyone starts looking at that, that's when it will stop following the fractal and do something no one expects. And in this case, it's a dump down, right? Because everyone's like, oh, this fractal is playing out so nicely. I mean, look at that, beautiful. And then, you know, bang. Everyone down on their faces who was following the fractal because everyone was here expecting dump. And this was also one of my reasons why I said on Monday, why I was even more confident that we're going to the lows, because it just simply doesn't happen like this. Now, what I'm not saying this to boast. The reason why I'm saying it is because there's always someone who there's always a lot of people who are disagreeing that it doesn't, you know, that it can still play out like that. And just because everyone looking at it doesn't mean it doesn't play out. But I'm telling you, you know, of course, I was looking at the same thing, but just to show you, just to warn you for it, if you see something like this, I would highly suggest being cautious, because here, last time it happened was the same thing. I said a likely trap to be aware of. I always like to look at sentiment, and for that you need to be aware what everyone's looking at. I think many people will be looking at the following play and looking for a similar scenario. Well, I'm not going to go into the whole thing too much because I went into it too deep in this post, and it's basically just what I just said. It was the same thing where I said, okay, everyone's looking at this now, and therefore it's not going to happen. So what I said, I think at the end is, here, right? This is something you see very often. People tend to look at the last time something happened in similar fashion and use that one data point to determine it is likely to happen again. The only problem is that often it does not happen again in that way. It's one more reason I think this capitulation phase might last longer than the previous capitulation phase. So this is at this point right here, right? This is at these lows. So you can see that indeed it lasts longer. It also makes for a good setup where we will have a relief bounce here to trap everyone into thinking the same PA is playing out, entering swing longs, only to dump it back down again. I will personally tread on the side of caution if I see this happen. And look what happened. Look what happened, right? We had this massive relief bounce followed bang by another move down, bang by another move down, and only then do we start going up. Does that ring a similar bell? Yes, it's happening again right now, right? The same thing is playing out because everyone was looking at the fractal. So here it made sense because no one was catching. It was like here we caught it and it was early. So it makes sense to follow it then, you know, because it's not everyone's following it. No one will get caught off guard if it stops following the fractal. Here, everyone is looking at it. So everyone is waiting for this move to happen. And then it makes a lot more sense for it not to happen, right? So this is the same thing. And once again, I'm just urging you to, like, if you see a fractal being followed too perfectly, and if you see too many people looking at it, just pay attention. It will not play out like that. Almost all of the time, it will not play out like that. But do some backtesting. Don't believe me on that. You know, do some backtesting. And I mean, I'm confident you will draw the same conclusion as me, but please draw your own conclusions. Don't believe anyone. Don't believe me. You know, do your own testing. It's very important, but I'm telling you that this is what I have found. And I mean, it's no coincidence that it's happening again. So I just wanted to lay that one out. Then another part that I wanted to say is, which is the more tricky part, because I saw this whole move down. Everyone is saying, okay, we are looking. Everyone's looking at 90K. So everyone here said, like, a lot of people on crypto Twitter are like, yeah, buy the dip, buy the dip. Everyone's looking at 90K. We're going up. We're going up. We're going up. Everyone look, because everyone was saying, okay, everyone is expecting lower, so therefore it will not happen. But not everyone was looking at lower. If I looked at my tweet timeline, everyone was saying that everyone was looking for lower, and that we therefore were going higher. So paradoxically, that was not the case at all. So I think you need to be very cautious. That's the difficulty with sentiment analysis. You need to be very objective in what you're seeing. So if your confirmation bias is saying higher, you might be paying more attention to people saying, if you're looking for a reason to go up, you will find reasons that price will go up. So if you're looking for, it's okay, I want price to go up subconsciously, and then you're thinking, okay, that means that everyone should be looking at down. So you're going to look at Twitter, and what you see is everyone posting lower prices, even though maybe that was 2 out of 10 people. So that's what's happening, and that is something you want to be aware of with sentiment analysis, right? So try to be as objective as possible, because in my view, no one was looking at that, or very, very few people were looking at that. There are people, and how do you call it? The reason that means that if not a lot of people are looking at it, and the majority is looking at higher, which is the fractal that played out like that, or that didn't play out like that, then that's another case to be made for lower prices. But so far, I mean, everything is playing out as expected. I don't think I'm going to carry on this live stream for much longer than needed. This is right now just a watch party to watch it bleed. Once again, I'm not doing alts because I don't think it makes sense. I expect price to go lower, and if price goes lower, then alts will go lower as well. And this is just a very critical point for Bitcoin at this point. Let's see what the statistics are saying now that we updated them. So still an 82% chance of going lower. Let me get some more recent data in, actually. 84% against 18. Yeah, say 82% chance of going lower. So you would still expect lower prices to come today. And once again, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this low being taken out today. I wouldn't be surprised. So there you have it. I mean, that's my game plan. I'm just waiting for lower. I'm just being patient. I'm in no rush. I will buy once we break that 90K levels. And once again, I want to reiterate that if we get there, right, because I'm not saying we absolutely have to get there. This is the market. There's only probabilities, not certainties. But if we get there, it will not be a quick SFP like this. It will most likely, be a more thorough move down followed by a move up, and then you will have some time to get positions into more alt positions before the move back up, right? So no hurry here, simply waiting. And I want to assure you once again that this is all part of the plan. I would not be bearish. I would not get bearish if we break those lows. You're going to see a lot of people saying that this was the top. I do not expect it to be the top as I laid out. And let me check it right here. This is what I'm looking at on the higher time frame. So right now we're playing a little bit of the median time frame, and as long as we're in the early stages of this green box, I wouldn't worry. So for me, if we break those lows, actually very bullish, very nice, and after that, after some manipulation here, we would go up again towards new all-time highs, and then we will have the very nice impulsive stage of the bull market. So that's what I'm looking at, guys. But once again, I wouldn't short this. I would just wait. There is support here. Let me go in. Love your work, man. I'm the doc in the VIP Discord. Street Doc, what's up, man? Mr. High Level Economy, right? Any chance one day we could chat about how to combine daily, weekly, and session pivots to get confluence. Every morning I wake up early to watch your VIP analysis, brother. Love them. I mean, for sure we can do that, man. Let us do it like this. I will do a VIP live stream next week, a short one or a video where we'll dive into that. Because I'm also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a feature where you will see automatically if there are assets that have the weekly and daily or session where there's confluence between different pivot zones, right? So for example, if you have the weekly P2 zone on the session P2 zone, right? Because that is usually a very nice confluence if you hit it. So that feature is coming, and with that, I will definitely dive into that your request more. So let's do that on a VIP video. And thank you, man. Awesome that you're watching the VIP analysis. They've been pretty spot on so far. I'm not gonna lie. They've been nice. We've been killing it. And at the same time, it's good to get a sense of realism in there and expectation management, which is that right now we've been on the right side of the market. I mean, a pretty incredible amount. But let's not lose the sight of reality is that also means that there's going to be a time where we're going to be on the wrong side of the market for a little while because we're simply following probabilities. Right now, they're falling in our favor all the time. We're going to have a time where they're falling not in our favor. But for now, it's working very well. This thing keeps on bleeding. I mean, very nice to see. Let it keep going down. We'll wait until 90K. Price is likely going to go lower, as you know. And it looks like we might actually reach those lower pivot zones that I mentioned earlier on in the stream. So the daily P2 zone and the session P2 zone low, aka that magical 90K level. All right, guys, that's why I'm going to leave it. 1 hour, less than 1 hour, short and sweet. I want to respect your time and keep things short and sweet because I know people want to watch it later and no one wants to watch a 2-hour analysis video. So I try to keep them shorter. Thank you so much, Street Dog. I'm very happy that you're a part of it, man, and I really appreciate the kind words. Everyone else, thank you very much for watching. I wish you a lovely week. Let's wait. Let's be patient. Let's get our buy opportunities, and let's have a great 2025, man. Thank you very much, and have a good one, guys. See you in the next one.